Nice to see y'all. Hey everybody. Alright, so I'm doing something different here. I'm gonna be running to two PCs. I can't hear anything right now. Trying to test some HE here. Basically this is the test server, and then I'll probably hop onto the NA server afterwards. So I need to go set up my I need to go set up my second PC here. I'll be right back. All right, here we go. I should have probably brought more. I should have probably bought more AT on this, but I think I got enough. So Graham is helping out very much so here, too. Basically, what we're going to be doing here is so we're on the test server. I kind of have a good grasp of the HE changes, but you don't really know until you actually try it. So essentially, Graham's in the Badger. I have a second PC with the Chieftain on it. Don't think Wargaming will care because it's just a test server that I'm using my extra account for. But more or less what we're going to be doing here is well, if you want to, so afterwards we're going to be doing the NA server, but if you want to hop on, feel free. So specifically, what is changing here? So like 16 basically hitting a Chieftain there frontally, and then Badger. So I'm gonna try to get a little closer, so screen not penetrated, basically hitting the mantlet there of the Badger. And then if we hit like a little higher here, or I'm just gonna completely miss. So just hitting like the thick armor here, like we're causing like 18 damage basically. And then same thing like Chieftain, like I'm probably not going to be causing much damage here, like 22 damage, stuff like that. And if I can hit towards the top, like a little bit higher, but not much, but I got 2 critical hits, which that just knocked out my turret and my observation device, specifically hitting there. That just knocked out my V-range finder again. So like shooting Graham here, let's see if I can hit. So the HE changes, we should see basically more localized module damage. Like I'm not causing much here to the Badger. I'm really curious, so hitting this shouldn't cause, so yeah, armor not hit. Graham, you're just asking about that. I'm assuming you can hear me. So armor not hit here. Basically, I'm penetrating the track, and since they changed, no, there's no splash if you miss any more Crimson. They work kind of like AP shells. So what I was really curious, and this is a big change, and this is where sometimes HE is better, which you see a lot of like memes and like GIFs and videos right now showing like the crazy HE shots, but not really anybody super, I guess, like testing, at least from what I saw. So like me shooting Graham here now, the HE, it doesn't detonate because it's going through the track and passing through without hitting the hole whatsoever. However, if I hit here, I'm causing damage to him because it's hitting the hole behind it. It's not penetrating, but it's causing damage. So if I shoot here, or I'm going to completely miss, and I should have brought more HE, but I'll know for next battle. So you don't cause, I'm not causing that much damage here because, both of these tanks are like really heavily armored and, they're hull down. So shooting with HE, as we kind of saw with the Chieftain here, like when I was hitting them in this location, like right now looking at my other PC here, like it's still damaged essentially. But what you can't do, So like that hit just took out my observation device again. However, that hit a little lower. What you can't do anymore, so let me go up here on the Chieftain, and then Graham, I'm gonna set up and you can start shooting me, because it'll be interesting to see the Super Conqueror. So like going up here against this Chieftain, I should, and also Graham too. So you can't do this anymore. So 20 damage, like you can't splash down into this anymore. However, shooting a little lower, you do cause more damage. You basically have to hit the weaker area now. You can't just hit and splash into it. Same thing with like the cupola. Like you cause a bit more damage shooting the cupola instead of like the turret front. It doesn't splash over. Once you get over to the side though, basically that has what, 2 layers of armor. So between that and the track and then the hull, I didn't pen behind it. However, hitting them there does a little bit more. And then I'm curious, I just want to get a little bit different angle on this, because I should be able to pen basically, but it works like an AP shell now. So specifically with an AP shell, it's going off of the effective armor, and you like seeing these shots on Graham, it wasn't actually hitting the hole, so it never detonates until and causes damage unless you're actually you know, penetrating. So like hitting the Badger, I'm pretty sure this is part of the, so you cause a crap load of damage there. So HE is better in some cases now, but it's worse when you're just like flinking a tank, or you know, chucking around that's not aimed, or trying to shoot something that, you know, like its strength is like hull down, or its armor's like in a certain areas of strength. You can't just randomly chuck around at it and expect to cause a lot of damage anymore. Which I think, so Graham, you can end up shooting me if you want now. If you want to, because I'm pretty much I'm out of HE. So you can shoot me, and I'm gonna, so like I just block that, looking at where he hit me. So he specifically just hit me, and it didn't actually so it basically didn't hit the armor behind it from what it looks like. If you need me to move, yeah, I can try to move too, to try to get hull down. If you want me to get hull down, I can drive back where you were if that works out. Or do you want to shoot me in the side? But yeah, there's no splash anymore. However, so him hitting me, you basically, I'm not sure where that one hit. Still not sure where that hit. Okay, so that hit the mantlet area. So space armor. So probably pen the mantlet and then splashed a little bit on the second layer of armor. Do you have any more HE? Or I forgot to bring more. Artie, I don't think they changed the AP or the HE for Artie, possibly. You don't have any more HE? Okay, yeah, I don't think he has any more HE. So there's still splash for Artie, yes. But there's no splash for standard tanks. So the way they changed it, so the easiest way to describe it, which if you read the article that they have about the next patch, they do explain it really well there. The easiest way though, like in a sentence or two, you have an AP shell with, you know, the new HE. Treat it like an AP shell where it takes into account the it takes into account the thickness and the angle, so the effective armor of a tank. However, the difference is, so with HE, doesn't lose penetration with range, A, and B, when it has to hit the hole, you know, the part of the tank where you're causing damage to, if it doesn't penetrate that last layer of armor, it does the damage roll. So you take the damage of the HE shell, subtract essentially the effective armor of the tank now instead of just the nominal thickness. So, you know, basically you just subtract the amount of effective armor. So it is nerfing HE in a way against so heavily armored areas or like things with space armor. However, if your HE does have enough pen, like whether it's against like lights, which I'll probably throw you on. Should I throw? I don't know what team to throw you on, or maybe I'll just throw you on here, or I don't know who this is. Is this somebody from the stream? No, this is an RU player. Yeah, I need to go and throw more HE on this. Basically, it just well, I guess I'll throw you on my team just to even it out. So you don't have, when you hit a certain piece of armor now with HE, you don't have the blast radius, and it applies the weakest, or it applies the damage to the weakest part of the armor. It applies it specifically. It just specifically damages that area you hit now, instead of finding the weakest spot in your blast radius. So it's actually a bit of a buff for smaller calibers and a little bit of a nerf. Well, yes and no. So the FE4005 and tanks like that, it's a little bit of a nerf when it comes to shooting. So like space armor, and actually you need to hit your shot better. They're honestly, they're kind of the same for the most part. You might lose out on damage in some areas, but you actually gain in other areas, like specifically tracks if you're shooting tracks on the side. But you need to actually aim better. So that's the thing. That's why a lot of those tanks actually got a on the move accuracy buff to kind of equal it out. But if you looked at their sandbox article that Wargaming had put out, they were within like 6% or so of like damage amount. So yeah, you actually have to hit where you need to hit in that specific spot. You can't just like auto aim and kind of get away with it. So in an FE4005, you're actually gonna do more damage if you're, say, shooting the Super Conqueror here. You're gonna do more damage like coming across the Super Conqueror and penetrating him here. However, if you're shooting him, say in that situation I was shooting a Badger and I shoot here, and you don't hit the hull behind it, you're not causing any damage. For anyone not up to speed, I am I'm on two computers here setting this up so I can shoot a Chieftain. So yeah, it's kind of a buff and a nerf, to where smaller calibers, honestly, it is a little bit it's actually a little bit of a buff when it comes to that. Higher calibers, it's a nerf if you're not aiming super well. So like the Type 5 that Ort's playing, they actually added an AP shell to it. So it's not just strictly HE on the big gun anymore. But it is a nerf when you're so specifically, which if you, yeah, you can shoot me if you want, just, you know, don't kill each other in the beginning. It's specifically a nerf what they're trying to do. So like right now with the amount of HE spam, if you're just shooting tanks in like their strongest part, you're causing less HP damage against. So like, let's see here if I can hit the gun. So you're causing less HP damage for something like hold down, like a Badger, because you're not specifically able to splash like the weaker areas of it, which I'm just straight up missing. However, like him shooting me, he's causing less damage when he hits my space armor. But I'm curious with the Chieftain because it does, so like so far, and this is where I wanted to see the differences. Like right now I'm causing like 31, which that knocked out my gun and my turret hitting the Chieftain there. Which I'm curious if for the Badger, like me, like Graham said, I only knocked out his radio operator. I'm curious if the amount of module damage was so low because I'm using like a small caliber here. So as we saw earlier, like I'm not causing much damage. Like I'm just getting a number here. So between like 20 and 60 it seems like for a Super Conqueror, because we are going to try this on the live server. And I'm actually going to move my Chieftain up a little bit to show. So I moved my Chieftain up so it's actually able to shoot my Super Conqueror. I wasn't able to shoot him in the position I was at. So with that, you know, I wasn't able to shoot him when I was further back. Now I can. So you're not able to really penetrate this with AP, APCR. Me hitting him here, so not much damage since basically it's angled. It goes off of effective armor now. So I'm just figuring out numbers here. So like, yeah, in this case, so it's a little bit higher shooting like the upper glacis than it is the turret. Okay. It doesn't seem like Graham's making much headway with the Type 5. So shooting Graham here, still not a lot because basically a Badger's decent armored for the HE shell that I'm using. So let's see this. So shooting here should hit a little bit weaker armor back here. I'm actually curious how much more damage it's going to cause here. So now that you're able to pen tracks, you have to think about what you're hitting behind. So if I shoot up here though, still causing more damage because I'm hitting the underneath of his basically track. However, me shooting here, no damage. It says armor not hit. I'm just tracking him. So, you know, think of HE like an AP shell now. So it's traveling through, not hitting anything behind. But switching over to this side, I'm able to cause more damage shooting here because you have to think about the armor you're hitting behind it, effective armor wise. Meanwhile, like shooting up at a more angled area because it's much more well protected. Basically, I'm not causing much, and then shooting down here, same thing because it's still pretty strong. I think Graham might have shot all the HE. Oh, that's where I don't know, Graham. What module damage did you take there? So they are supposed to, like, so my Chieftain there, like I lost the turret and the gun. And like just for the tracks here again, like I'm not causing any damage here. So he lost his loader and his ammo rack, basically from us shooting HE at him there from the front. And like none of them penetrated at all. Like what they're supposed to be doing is the HE's supposed to, with non-penetrating hits, cause more module damage inside of the tank where you're hitting with those non-penetrating hits than the current HE of the game. So here, so I guess penned him, you're causing more damage with HE now. Not necessarily, so like using HE, so like from the side here, HE's better than it is before, but you run the risks, so like let me move off, and this is where someone's like, oh well HE's over buffed and like stuff like that. So like right here, AP, I can pen this all day long. HE. Oh, well I guess set him on fire. I just set him on fire and I don't have a, you know, I don't have a, much of a fire kit. so I cause no damage, or I cause damage but not much. So this is where like an AP shell, APCR is better. So HE, it is high risk, high reward. Like you can get more damage here. However, if you're angled a little bit, shooting tracks, it's going to be a lot more effective armor. So for the lower pen HE, unless you're playing like an FE4005 or something, it's really high risk. Especially when you can still just miss by a little bit and it functions like AP where you're not causing damage. Or like say a Badger, I'd be able to pen him with AP here. However, with HE, I can't pen this now because they changed it to effective armor. The first sandbox test, they didn't have that. They had it based off of the nominal thickness still. That was my main concern, is nominal thickness. You could pen that on the sandbox test, but you can't do it. So honestly, the high pen like FE4005, you know, the Badger and the Super Conquer are a little bit lower end, but you know, they still have more than normal for HE pen. Your Sense 7s, like KV2 forward tiers, those tanks honestly aren't going to change much. You're going to be penalized a little bit for shooting tanks like hull down, heavily armored, like in their strongest parts. And for those tanks in return, like, you know, you're getting HE'd like right now in the current game when you're trying to play to your strengths, and yeah, it's a crappy situation. However, for like a KV2 FV, you're actually getting a little bit of a buff when you're coming across like a tank on the side and you hit a track of like an EBR 105 and it soaks up a 183mm gun, you do 0. Now you're gonna penetrate and you're gonna blow it to freaking bits. So Graham or Ort, do you guys mind popping into an EBR maybe? So I'll throw Ort over here. I don't know if Graham has one. I'll just pop into one on mine. Or yeah. Graham, do you mind popping into just something else? And that way I'm gonna, well, Grant, or you're fine. I'm gonna throw myself over here. That way, like, or if you want to, like, you can shoot the EBR if you're curious about that. You can't leave the detachment. Hey, Bloodlust, nice to see you. Yeah, it's different in training rooms. It's like annoying. I always forget I always forget about it for training rooms. Okay, so we're ready to go here. And then after this, I'm gonna pop onto the NA server if any of you guys want to help test this. I don't have a chieftain for the NA because I can't play my sheriff account on it. I'm gonna set up. Hey Moches, nice to see you. Hey Bloodlust, it's going well. We're testing some HE on the sandbox or the test server here. I'll set up my well, yeah, if you don't mind, when we pop over to NA after this battle. I'm gonna set up my chieftain somewhere that you guys can shoot it, like if you're curious, because I'm not really gonna be. I'm gonna be using my super conqueror here. I'll probably set him up somewhere. I have no idea where to. I have no idea where to shoot him, or not where to shoot him. Where to set up. Alright. Well, anyway. I'm ready to go. So, penning an EBR now should be easier. Well, if I can actually aim. Ah, I missed the hole. That's your opinion, 88. Yeah, that's why we're testing things here. Thank you, Spider, for the resub. Slow down for me, or I can't aim. So I should shooting a wheel pen and cause full damage, which I'm not gonna kill you, or because yeah, I don't want to kill you like too early. Whereas shooting the E100 here, not much damage, but shooting the EBR underneath caused nothing with the wheels. So you're saying a leopard cannot pen the butt of an EBR. I failed to see that's possible because like the E100 here, this only has what, 120 millimeters of pen, so I'm not able to pen that. Like that shouldn't be causing too much less or too much more or less damage based off of the live server. So the button and even EBR, you're saying you can't pen anymore. Yes, you can. Like, it's based off of effective armor. It's the same as AP shells, HE, how it works now, except for you can have that HE roll damage when it hits the hole and doesn't pen. Plus it causes spalling damage to that specific area. But they changed it so it works similar to AP shells now when it comes to the penetration calculations. So it actually factors in armor thickness, also factors in effective armor, so basically the slope. It doesn't just factor in the thickness anymore, it factors in both of those things. So like an EBR does have angled armor. For something like the Leopard 1, what's the penetration of the HE shell? I could see it not penetrating that just due to the angle, if you're hitting like one of the extreme angles. So like the E100 here, as far as HE shells, you can't do this anymore. So 18 damage, and we're gonna pop onto the live server to test this too. So basically shooting the bottom of the turret front of the E100, you're not able to splash into the engine deck anymore. But you guys, I don't care if you kill me, but you're gonna have to kill the Chieftain too to end the battle. Oh my god, I just bounced him. But I don't think I can actually pen the E100 with any of my HE rounds. Just because 120 millimeters when it comes to the effective armor. Which, let me pop over here. Alright, Graham. Alright, Graham, kill me. It'll be easier for you to kill me than me to kill you. I don't have any AP or APCR. Thanks, Blood. Thanks again for the raid. I appreciate it. Artie still has splash. Artie still has splash. It's just standard tanks that don't have the splash. The only thing I'm curious is, so I don't think they changed the Artie HE. I'm curious because I'm pretty sure they left it exactly the same, because I think it would be confusing if Artie could penetrate and have the splash. It would be a little bit, it would be too overpowered. Which, yeah, I'm switching over to NA, yes. Which, thanks guys, and thanks Tarbox for the follow. So I'm gonna switch over to the NA server now, just because we played a few battles here. So give me a second here, because I gotta switch over. I gotta switch over to, or wait, maybe I don't think I even need to. I don't think I even need to play my second one now. If both you and Orton Graham, and if anybody else wants to pop over to NA, we'll make a training room. So yeah, thanks Ort for the chief, because yeah, I can't play my sheriff on the NA in training rooms. It's not allowed. Well, HE is different for standard, yeah, but I don't think for Artie though. I think the only things they did was one of the Artie HE can't cause internal module damage, and the other one can. So, Graham just asked a good question. So why does on the test server, on the test server HE still have splash statistics on like Hesh, HE, so on and so forth? So that's why. So the difference is, so that what they're doing is HE currently, if you shoot a piece of armor, it draws a giant beach ball, and the weakest piece of armor based off of thickness within that big beach ball is where it applies 100% of the damage, and then the module damage inside, basically within that blast radius. The new HE, it applies the damage calculation directly to the piece of the hole that you hit. And if you don't hit any piece of the hole and you just hit a piece of space armor, your shell just flies off into La La Land and does nothing. Once you hit that basically piece of armor, the blast radius, that's where the spalling is caused within that blast radius. Or if you penetrate, that's where the internal module damage and everything is caused. So basically higher module and crew damage than the spalling does is based off of that blast radius now. It just, they removed the, basically where the damage calculation is applying. They didn't remove the blast radius differences between large and basically large and small calibers. Like that, you know, they still have differences. Like large calibers have the advantage. So hopefully that makes sense when it comes to that. Which crap, I picked the wrong tank. I'm just gonna stick with the Super Conqueror. I like the changes too. I was really concerned with if they didn't change it to effective armor, which they did change it to effective armor. It's no longer HE, doesn't just go off of the, which I made the training room, guys, if you can pop into the training room. it now goes off of the effective armor, which if they didn't do that, when you guys saw me playing on a sandbox, you could basically, if a tank's pointing directly at you and it angles a little bit, you could shoot through the, like say 70% of the track and still penetrate it on the hole behind it because it just went off of thickness. Now if you're shooting that, say 30 millimeters of track armor turns into like 100, 200 plus millimeters of effective armor, and you do 0 damage because you're not able to penetrate and actually hit the hole behind it. Or if you even hit the hole behind it, you have no penetration left and you cause very low damage, you know, into 20s and 10s. It does still damage tracks, yes, like HE currently did. Is this somebody from Cartho? Are you from? I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Like, you know, we can shoot each other with HE. Please don't kill anybody in the beginning, if that makes any sense. I don't know who that is, though. Let's see it. Hey, Destructive Dan, nice to see you. I just want to make sure he's a viewer. It's not because I don't like the guy, it's just I don't want somebody not knowing what we're doing. Doesn't seem like he is. Yes, so yes and no, Valdor. Okay. So yeah, we're just gonna pop in here. If anybody else wants in, you know, pop in the next battle. So in a way, so Super Conqueror. It does in a sense though, however, it depends. That's the difficult thing. So hitting a Super Conqueror here with HE now, honestly, I don't know if it causes damage for a lot of smaller calibers and stuff. In the new changes, those HE rounds, especially smaller calibers, will actually penetrate and still hit the armor behind it. You might not be causing much damage at all, like it might be a little amount, but it's better than 0, and you're actually causing spalling damage still. So you are actually amounting to something. However, you're not taking, like hitting here, you should be taking less for hold down tanks, space armor, stuff like that. You should be taking less damage from just like those random like FU shots from people not aiming and just hitting you, and especially like 60 TPs and stuff, and they get splashed into your engine decks or the top of your turrets with how HE works currently. You're taking less damage from those shots, but if somebody's still shooting my Super Conqueror like under here, or if they're able to hit the top of my, you know, upper glacis like engine deck where it's not space armor, or if they're basically hitting like the cupola area, they should be causing comparable damage, and they actually should be causing more module and HP damage or crew damage for non-penetrating hits. So on the test server, if I can actually hit a chieftain here, I was causing, I think what we were doing is like 20 to 50. So 20 to 50 damage I was causing to a hold down chieftain, I think, in a Super Conqueror. Same map, same setting, so 55 here for that first hit. And we're getting some zeros here. We got 155. There's a 5. So like so far what this is looking like, HE was more consistent from what I can see now, but again, small sample size. If I can actually freaking hit, you know, hit them. Like that's a thing. Oh my god. So I hit the gun there, nothing. I don't know, like I don't think I caused any crew damage yet. Okay, loader, turret ring. That was from the 183. He caused like 600 plus damage. So 83 here on the hull. But I don't know. There's 149, but I'm pretty sure that hit the engine deck. If I had to guess. So these hole shots I'm hitting in the bottom of the turret front, I'm pretty sure I'm doing more damage to him. Which I don't know, where did Graham go? I'm doing more damage to him because, and I guess hit, like I guess didn't even aim there and I hit him for 168. So like the drive, yeah, the 183 is messing them up crew damage and stuff wise. So I'm gonna go up and do like a side shot or so here, because I did some side shots on the test server. So far what I was seeing there was the new HE on the test server. Did you lose any module, or you didn't lose any crew or modules from me, right? Or because on the test server I knocked out the gun, loader, turret ring, and even the optics a lot on the test server. Okay, just the observation. And like this shot on the test server, like I was causing like 400, 500 plus damage. I was causing full damage basically. And then for like something like this, I was causing 0 damage, missing. This is the live server right now. So like I was causing 0 damage for these shots. Now, you know, you're actually able to cause, but in the new test, like the new next patch, it's AP, so it flies under the tank. But shots like this have a chance to actually pen and do full damage. So like this on the test server, well, I actually hit him. But like this on the test server would do 0. So what they're trying to do is make HE, you actually have to like aim and hit your shots better, if that makes any sense. What I saw here shooting the Chieftain, on the test server I was causing more consistent damage, I would say, to his top turret part, and I caused more, I think, internal module damage because I knocked out the loader a lot. Looking over there, I knocked out the loader. Basically, what, both battles I was shooting the Chieftain on my account. I knocked out the loader multiple times, basically just shooting him. Which, I guess we need EBR maybe? Or maybe we'll just keep with the Chieftain. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I would still like to keep shooting a Chieftain. Yeah, maybe we'll just keep the same thing and do it again. So yeah, me shooting, so like the hold down Chieftain here on the live server, I was causing less internal damage, it seemed like, and I was causing less damage when it was hold down. However, I was causing more damage shooting him here, obviously. So when I was hitting him here, it was causing applying all the damage specifically to the top of his engine deck. It wasn't applying it basically to where I actually hit him. So like that's the change where essentially what it's doing, so it is a big nerf to wheel tanks. It is a nerf when somebody's using so side scraping. Like I had shot quite a bit, Graham, like the sides, like side scraping and stuff. When it comes to tracks and stuff, you're actually taking less damage, I believe. But if somebody gets around to your side and say, like this tank, I have 120 millimeters of pen, you can actually pen the sides of tanks through tracks now, and basically you can pen and actually do more damage in those situations. But essentially what it's doing, you know, just mechanics wise, it's forcing you to actually aim better. So yeah, those tanks, like the 60 TPs, so that's where I know a lot of people are concerned. Honestly, HE shouldn't be a freaking a standard round in the 60 TP. I'm sorry, but like it just shouldn't. But the 60 TP is going to get a buff essentially from people not being able to just spam HE into the engine deck of it anymore and the cupola. However, you're actually going to have to aim your shots. Downside is, so people, if you're hull down and in a 60 TP, a lot of times you can't hide, like I'm not going to shoot him here, you can't hide the top of your hull. So 60 TP here, people are still going to be able to shoot HE, but they're going to have to hit you in this area instead of the super thick turret armor front, or they're going to have to hit you in the cupola, or else you're not going to be causing as much damage, essentially. But one big change, which, you know, we kind of saw a little bit with the small sample size, but on the test server, me causing more, so like internal module and crew damage. If you're, say, in a 60 TP hitting somebody and you're not causing as much damage, or somebody's shooting you, or you're shooting a chieftain or something hull down, I guess simplifying the changes, what they're going for, and I know I'm like repeating myself too, they're trying to penalize just randomly chucking, like me shooting frickin' just random shots here dead center and causing damage with HE. Like they're trying to basically penalize that, where you have a tank that's like, you know, hull down, has decent armor, not just pure thickness, but like effective armor, and people right now are just able to auto aim you and cause freaking HE damage really easy. They're penalizing that. However, you know, on the test server, even though you're probably, like, say right now, like I was causing 150, 140-ish damage, those shots now would be causing less after this, you know, patch here. However, I would be causing module and crew damage for those non-penetrating hits. And instead of just spamming basically HE at Graham's, you know, mantlet here, I should be trying to hit him, so cupola. But if I can't hit the cupola, okay, like, you know, where should I shoot then? You want to try to hit for the least effective armor. So in this case, it's actually trying to hit him in this area, because I'd be able to penetrate basically through that track and hit the weak side armor in that case. When would you want to switch to HE over AP? When you either can't damage at all, you know, if you can't penetrate anything with AP or heat, you know, in a tank, you're still better off using HE, because they're shifting a little bit of the, say, easy, no aim, no skill damage dealing potential now, with people just chucking HE, especially at high tiers, to you actually have to aim a little bit now. But they're shifting a little bit of that just easy, consistent damage to causing more spalling damage. So, whereas like something hitting and not penetrating, like a hull down super heavy right now, won't really cause any damage, no module, no HP, or not HP, crew damage. In the new system, even doing a little damage and hitting them, you are basically chipping away at their module and crew HP. So you're actually damaging and knocking those out, but causing less HP damage. So it's still basically causing, you know, that tank to basically suffer, just not as much HP. And in a way it is buffing though, because you are actually able to penetrate space armor now. So if you're able to basically get around to the sides and stuff like that, you can actually pen, you can pen the sides a lot easier. And specifically when you're looking at EBRs, like it fixes the EBR problem, those things, the wheels don't function at all. You just hit the hole and the things pop, because you're able to penetrate them pretty freaking easily now, unless you have a really low penetrating HE shell, but it's still able to connect through those wheels better, thus causing more damage. I think we're pretty good though. I think we're pretty good though, guys, I think. Thank you guys too for helping. But I think we did 3 on the test server and we covered a lot there. But basically, like, from what I saw, no, I think we're pretty good here. Like, I don't want to keep, like, on the live server here. I think we covered, like, just seeing that. So specifically, like, I shot the Chieftain a lot on the test server and now, live server here. The damage was more consistent on the test server when it comes to shooting in the turret, a little bit more module and crew damage, but I was causing less damage to a Chieftain when I was splashing into the engine deck, which is part of the thing that they're looking to get rid of, not just for the Chieftain, but most tanks like Mouse, E100. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I couldn't have really done it without you guys, because me running over to that PC the entire time would have been very, very, very difficult. But it's going to be interesting. So, well, that's the thing. So, Greg, like, so right now, if you think about, and this is where, so like just getting into tier 10 right now, and we're going to stick like just the heavies and TDs. So if you think about some tanks right now where when it comes, like, you come across say a 705A, you come across 268 version 4, hold down Super Conqueror, hold down Badger, Type 5 not so much because people gets Penu with gold, 60 TP, Kronwagen, tanks like that, and obviously the Chieftain. Right now, like, the de facto way to deal with them is specifically just, essentially you just chuck, which I'm going to try to find the Chieftain. I'm just going to preview it because I don't own it. Is just chuck HE at them and basically HP them down and basically just murder them. As we saw on the test server, and I'm just, kind of going over in my head here because I haven't had a lot of time. When I was in the Super Conqueror hitting this Chieftain, when I was hitting him, which hold down, you don't see this hold down. When I was hitting him here and up, I was causing more consistent, same amount basically of damage, if not higher. Like, I was causing consistently between 20 and I think like high 50s. Live server here, I was causing 0 and I got a couple 50s and like some like teens and stuff, but it was a lot less consistent. Test server, I caused more basically module and crew damage, so turret, observation device, loader, gun. Like, I caused it a bit more. I was watching my other PC when I was shooting. It was damaging them multiple times, essentially that battle. However, it is nerfing, so if you're getting shot by, so if you're the Chieftain, it is actually making you more susceptible to smaller calibers shooting HE at you. However, against like your FV 183, 60 TP, like those tanks, it is giving you a little bit more protection, like, to be honest, because those tanks are able to hit you, say, in this area, and they're splashing your, engine deck, or if they're hitting you here, it's causing the damage to your thin turret roof. So it is giving you a little bit more protection with the change, your HP. However, those tanks should, in the test server, based off of what Wargaming is trying to do, for those non-penetrating hits, they should be causing more localized module damage, and thus, if you're that hold down tank, like you have your one, say, repair kit and med kit, it's essentially pissing you off and like it's hurting you in other ways, like damaging your gun, your viewport, your crew members more significantly. You're still taking that HP damage, just a little bit less from the high caliber ones, a little bit more consistent for the lower caliber ones. So it's kind of a trade-off, but it's penalizing people that just left or right click you to auto aim and chuck around without even thinking. So on the flip side though, you know, you as a, say a chieftain or any tank, currently, so like if an FE 4005 comes around the corner at you, a Centurion 7, KV2 obviously wouldn't face it under normal, T49 with the derp HE. So tanks with HE, you know, stuff like that. Me as a super conqueror, so I penned this a couple times, and specifically I was penning here a little easier because it just had the track armor instead of 2 layers. You come across an FE 4005 right now, he might shoot you here. You might not take that much damage, like you're not taking over 1,000 damage. The FE 4005 in the new test server, since the HE functions like an AP round, it'll actually penetrate the space armor, it'll penetrate the tracks, and it'll penetrate your hull, and you're taking full damage. Plus it's applying, so if an FE's smart here, like if it's hitting around here, ammo rack damage, back here, basically engine damage, fires, you know, stuff like that, it's causing more localized module and crew damage specifically where you're hitting. So you should have an easier time if you're hitting, you know, and penetrating with HE, if you're aiming right, to cause more localized module damage depending on where you aim. So it's kind of a trade-off to where it's changing, like game mechanically, whenever they do something like this, it's changing the game larger than just, you know, on a tank-to-tank basis. Like some tanks might benefit more, some might benefit less. Like right now, they're primarily like they're just buffing like the Hesh and HE specific tanks like T49, KV2. I think the FVs are in there if I'm not mistaken. They're buffing the on-the-move accuracy a little bit because aiming is a lot more important. So there's trade-offs. There, you know, it's basically changing mechanically the game, which, you know, nobody knows exactly how everything's going to change. To where that's why they did the sandbox. That's why they're doing the public test server. So what I see, you know, when it comes to this, like it might make certain tanks, so like a Kronwagen right now. Honestly, a Kronwagen's not the best tank though, so like that's a tank that kind of is in need to where like you get hit with HE now up here, it's causing damage to thinner armor than it should, you know, vice versa. It's basically making armor the way that a tank's designed, I guess. And like the gameplay, you know, a tank's gameplay is, it's making it a little bit more reliable. And it's making the people, if you're shooting HE at them, you actually have to aim a little bit more instead of just haplessly throwing a freaking round down range and you're causing, you know, 100, 200 plus damage every single shot. And you're not even like, you know, you're basically, you don't even know what you're doing, if that makes any sense. You know, you just don't know why you're causing it. You're just aiming and clicking. So I personally think like the HE changes, it does address like the problems at tier 10 specifically right now. Like there's a few tanks other tiers, but specifically at tier 10 there is a lot of HE chucking, you know, just no aim. You know, a lot of tanks just do it because it's easy. So they're making that a little bit more difficult, which, you know, it might change things and they might have to buff or nerf some tanks down the road, but game mechanically I think making HE like AP, going off of effective armor, was kind of the best way for how they're approaching it. And it is going to buff so some tanks that need some help, so like the Centurion 7 specifically. I saw some people making GIFs and videos, so a lot of people like make fun of the new Rhino, but the Rhino has pretty decent HE pen too, kind of like the British tanks. So like this actually can do a whopping amount of damage, you know, at 640 a shot, albeit very risky for you to do that still. So, you know, I'm kind of excited for the changes because I think it does address one of the biggest basically problems, I guess, with HE currently. But yeah, anybody else have any questions before like I move on to just, you know, which thanks again, guys, you know, the 3 of you guys for popping in and helping. That was really helpful.